The Republic of Turkey emerged from the ashes of the Ottoman Empire in 1923. It was a time of immense change and uncertainty. The nation, led by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, embarked on an ambitious project of modernization and reform. This transformation encompassed every aspect of Turkish society, from politics and law to education and culture. This essay delves into the political history of the Republic of Turkey, exploring the lives and legacies of its presidents and prime ministers. It examines the evolution of the country's political system, culminating in the transition from a parliamentary system to a presidential one in 2018. The early years of the Republic were marked by the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, a military commander who had played a pivotal role in the Turkish War of Independence. Atatürk served as the first president of Turkey from 1923 until his death in 1938. His presidency was a period of profound transformation, as he implemented a series of reforms known as the Atatürk Revolutions. These reforms aimed to modernize Turkish society by transitioning to a secular state, adopting a Western legal system, and promoting education and women's rights. The legacy of Atatürk continues to shape Turkish politics and society today. He is revered as the father of modern Turkey, and his ideas and principles remain deeply ingrained in the national consciousness. Understanding the early years of the Republic and the transformative leadership of Atatürk is essential to comprehending the complexities of Turkey's political journey. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's vision for Turkey was one of a modern, secular and democratic nation-state. He believed that the Ottoman Empire's decline was rooted in its inability to keep pace with the changing times. To avoid a similar fate, Atatürk embarked on a series of radical reforms that aimed to transform almost every aspect of Turkish society. One of the most significant reforms was the abolition of the Ottoman Caliphate in 1924. This bold move severed the centuries-old link between religion and state in Turkey. It paved the way for the establishment of a secular republic based on the principles of separation of powers and the rule of law. This was followed by the introduction of a new legal system based on the Swiss Civil Code and the Italian Penal Code, replacing Islamic law. Atatürk also prioritized education as a key pillar of modernization. He believed that a well-educated populace was essential for the progress and development of the nation. His government invested heavily in establishing a modern education system, building new schools and universities across the country. He also championed the emancipation of women, advocating for their right to education, employment, and political participation. Following Atatürk's death in 1938, İsmet İnönü, his close comrade and prime minister, assumed the presidency. İnönü's presidency coincided with the tumultuous period of World War II. Despite the global conflict and its pressures, İnönü managed to keep Turkey out of the war, skillfully navigating the complex geopolitical landscape. İnönü's presidency marked a period of continuity in Turkish politics. He maintained Atatürk's commitment to modernization and secularism. However, he also faced the challenge of balancing these principles with the demands of a rapidly changing world. The rise of fascism and communism in Europe posed significant threats to Turkey's security and stability. Despite the challenges, İnönü's government made notable strides in economic and social development. It implemented policies to promote industrialization and agricultural growth, aiming to improve the living standards of ordinary Turks. İnönü also oversaw the transition to a multi-party democracy in 1946, marking a significant milestone in Turkey's political evolution. The introduction of a multi-party system in 1946 ushered in a new era of democratic politics in Turkey. The Democrat Party, formed by former members of İnönü's Republican People's Party, emerged victorious in the 1950 general elections, marking the first democratic transfer of power in Turkish history. Adnan Menderes, the leader of the Democrat Party, became the new prime minister. The Democrat Party government, eager to consolidate its power and appeal to its conservative base, adopted policies that reversed some of the secular reforms implemented by Atatürk and İnönü. This led to growing tensions between the Democrat Party government and the secularist establishment, including the military, which saw itself as the guardian of Ataturk's legacy. The Menderes government's economic policies, while initially successful in fostering growth, led to high inflation and economic instability in the late 1950s. This, coupled with the government's increasingly authoritarian tendencies, further fueled social unrest and political polarization. The military, concerned about the erosion of secularism and the deteriorating political and economic situation, intervened in 1960, overthrowing the Democrat Party government in a military coup. Section 5, the 1960s and 1970s, progress amidst political upheaval. The 1960 military coup, while a significant setback for Turkish democracy, led to the adoption of a new constitution in 1961. This constitution aimed to safeguard democratic principles and prevent the rise of authoritarianism. It introduced a bicameral parliament and a constitutional court to protect individual rights and freedoms. The 1960s and 1970s were a period of significant economic growth and social change in Turkey. The country witnessed rapid industrialization, urbanization, and the emergence of a new middle class. However, this period was also marked by political instability, with frequent changes in government and growing polarization between left-wing and right-wing factions. Despite the political turmoil, Turkey made significant progress in various fields during this period. The government invested heavily in infrastructure projects such as dams, highways, and power plants to support economic growth. Education and healthcare systems were expanded to reach wider segments of the population. Section 6, the 1980s, military coup and return to democracy. The political and social turbulence of the 1970s culminated in another military coup in 1980. The military, citing widespread violence and political deadlock as justifications for its intervention, dissolved the parliament, suspended the constitution, and ruled the country through a National Security Council. The 1980 coup led to a period of military rule characterized by political repression, human rights violations, and restrictions on civil liberties. However, the military government also implemented a series of economic reforms aimed at liberalizing the Turkish economy, opening it up to foreign investment and promoting free market principles. Following a referendum in 1982, the new constitution was adopted, paving the way for a return to civilian rule. However, the 1982 constitution, drafted under military tutelage, contained provisions that restricted political freedoms and granted the military significant influence in politics. Section 7. The path to the 21st century, coalition governments and economic instability. The 1990s and early 2000s were a period of coalition governments, economic instability, and political scandals in Turkey. The country grappled with high inflation, chronic unemployment, and a series of financial crises. The Kurdish-Turkish conflict also escalated during this period, leading to increased violence and instability in the southeastern regions of the country. Despite the challenges, Turkey made some progress in addressing its economic and political problems during this period. The government implemented structural reforms to stabilize the economy, privatized state-owned enterprises, and pursued closer integration with the European Union. However, political instability and corruption scandals continued to plague the country. The fragile coalition government struggled to implement coherent policies, and public trust in political institutions eroded. This paved the way for the rise of new political movements, including the Justice and Development Party, or AKP, led by Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Section 8. The rise of the AKP and the transformation of Turkish politics. The AKP, founded in 2001, emerged as a major force in Turkish politics, winning a landslide victory in the 2002 general elections. The AKP's success was attributed to its ability to connect with conservative voters disillusioned with the existing political establishment. It also benefited from its emphasis on economic development and social welfare programs. Under Erdogan's leadership, the AKP government implemented a series of economic reforms that led to significant growth and improved living standards for many Turks. The government also invested heavily in infrastructure projects, healthcare, and education. However, the AKP's rule was also marked by growing authoritarianism, restrictions on freedom of speech and the press, and the erosion of democratic institutions. The government cracked down on dissent, imprisoned journalists and activists, and consolidated its power over the judiciary and other independent institutions. Section 9. The Presidential System, a New Era for Turkey. In 2017, a controversial referendum was held on constitutional amendments that would transform Turkey's parliamentary system into a presidential one. The amendments were narrowly approved, and the new system came into effect following the 2018 presidential and parliamentary elections. The new presidential system abolished the office of the Prime Minister and concentrated executive power in the hands of the President. It also granted the President sweeping powers to appoint judges, issue decrees, and dissolve Parliament. The transition to a presidential system has been highly contested in Turkey. Supporters of the new system argue that it provides greater stability and efficiency, allowing the President to implement his agenda without being hampered by parliamentary gridlock. They also point to Erdogan's continued electoral success as evidence of public support for the new system. Opponents of the presidential system argue that it undermines democracy by concentrating too much power in the hands of one person. They also express concerns about the erosion of checks and balances and the lack of accountability under the new system. The long-term consequences of the presidential system for Turkey remain to be seen. The country faces a number of challenges, including economic uncertainty, political polarization, and the ongoing conflict in Syria. How the presidential system will navigate these challenges and shape the future of Turkey is a question that will continue to be debated for years to come. As Turkey transitioned into a new era with the presidential system, it's essential to reflect on the leaders who have shaped the nation across decades. Cemal Gürsel, 1961 to 1966. Following the 1960 coup, Gürsel led the country through a period of restructuring, laying the groundwork for modern Turkey. Cevdet Sunay, 1966 to 1973. Sunay's presidency was marked by the Cold War era and significant student protests, reflecting the global and domestic tensions of the time. Fahri Karaturk, 1973-1980. The 1970s were a turbulent decade with economic crises and violent clashes between left and right-wing factions. Karaturk navigated these challenges with a steady hand. Kenan Evren, 1982-1989. After the 1980 coup, Evren oversaw significant constitutional changes, aiming to stabilize the country and prevent future unrest. Turgut Özal, 1989-1993. Özal's presidency was characterized by economic liberalization and steps towards globalization, transforming Turkey's economy and international stance. Süleyman Demirel, 1993-2000. Demirel's time in office saw coalition governments and economic crises, testing the resilience of Turkey's political and economic systems. Ahmet Necdet Sezer, 2000-2007. Sezer focused on legal reforms and constitutional amendments, striving to modernize Turkey's legal framework and uphold democratic values. Abdullah Gül, 2007-2014. Gül's presidency was marked by European Union negotiations and steps towards democratization, reflecting Turkey's aspirations on the global stage. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, 2014-present. Erdogan's era has seen the implementation of the presidential government system, bringing significant economic and political developments. Each of these leaders has left an indelible mark on Turkey's history, guiding the nation through periods of change and challenge. As Turkey continues to evolve, the legacy of its past presidents remains a crucial part of its journey. Stay tuned as we explore the ongoing story of Turkey and the paths it may take in the future. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more insightful videos on history and politics. Voiceover.